Punching a person's face, throwing their body weight around the cage, and bending their limbs to extreme limits of flexibility aren't the only ways to break an opponent. There's damage that originates from within, sort of like a Trojan horse. It concerns invading the emotional and psychological states of the opponent using various tactics. And what kind of tactics are involved, and who are the fighters specialized in this art of war, also known as psychological warfare? Well, if you stay long enough, you'll find out. Trash talking is the most famous and common method used by fighters, and Muhammad Ali is one of the oldest examples who ruled with psychological mastery. His poetic approach to trash talk was medicine for the audience's ears and poison for the minds of his opponents, defeating them long before they entered the ring.
So in all the press conferences and all the different things leading up to the fight, he would scream at him. He would show up at Sonny Liston's house and honk the horn in the middle of the night and get on his lawn and scream and yell at him. Like, he did a lot of crazy shit to Sonny Liston to fuck with him psychologically.
Ali used various methods to harass the dominant Sonny, who did not want to accept a match against the young boxer. Muhammad took a bus with provocative slogans written on it, took a megaphone, and went straight to Liston's house, who came out in his pajamas to see what was happening. He later accepted the fight, but his mind was mess-filled with fear of Ali, who had defeated him twice and became the first man to KO Liston. Imagine coming home after hellish training and trying to have a well-deserved rest, and your opponent parks in front of your house in the middle of the night yelling and screaming. Ali floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee, but he also invaded Sonny's dreams, like Freddy Krueger beating him before the fight even happened. The only thing worse than an evil trash talker is a trash talker who's eloquent and mean. As an example of such a man, next to Muhammad Ali, we have former UFC champion Dominic Cruz.
I'm done talking to you.
You can't be done talking to me. You're right here facing me, dummy. You gotta talk to me. You have no choice. You got nowhere to go. Keep talking.
The Dominator was a dominator indeed, in and out of the cage, waging verbal wars against his opponents who, most of the time, probably wished they were deaf. He was well-spoken and brutally communicative, attacking opponents and casting a shadow of doubt on their confidence and skills. Best of all, you didn't even have to be his opponent for him to drive you crazy.
But I will say that sometimes it takes more cojones to stop yourself than it does to keep going. And that's something Mike Bisping can learn about from Frank
I
Perez.
knew there was a Bisping dig in there somewhere.
Hey, he's still learning. He's still learning.
We still have
10.
Fights
Top
to come.
5.
6 fights to come on the card. We're going to preview the action ahead.
One
And
eye.
gentlemen,
As time goes on, more and more trash talkers appear, but not all of them are successful. Looking at Dominic's record and his speech on the microphone, we can conclude why he's one of the GOATs, not only in fighting, but also in verbal executions that served opponents on the plate. This way, he dismantled both TJ Dillashaw and Uriah Faber. The worst thing of all, because of his perfect and unique footwork, he was very difficult to hit cleanly, which, in addition to his provocations, caused additional frustrations for the opponent.
Some people just need tough love.
Conor McGregor's the main example in modern MMA from whom you can download the tutorial How to Grill Your Opponent and Win Before the Fight. We're talking about a man who pushed 5 elite fighters to their mental limits and finished them early with knockouts. If you're a counterpuncher like Conor, then it would be best if your opponent's an aggressive striker. To make him aggressive, you need a poisonous vocabulary and relentless speech whenever you meet face to face. The best example of a destroyed psyche is Dustin Poirier and Jose Aldo. The Diamond was so quick to cut his head that his anger got the best out of him, and Conor's fist played the role of final executioner.
I've never disliked somebody that much that I'm ever fought.
I'm a nice guy now. I've never disliked anybody as much as I've disliked this guy. I might have to whoop it twice.
The fact that, in the same way he dismantled the legendary and dominant Jose Aldo, who did not even speak English, speaks of his mental warfare mastery, although he did learn some Portuguese.
Little Brazilian. Ooh, vamos, hey. What you got to say now?
There's a reason they call him the Notorious. Did you know that Conor's coach, John Kavanagh, told Jose before entering the cage, "Welcome to hell"? That is some next-level mind cooking right there. You didn't even have to be his opponent for him to aim and shoot you, making striking banter that will follow you throughout your career.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
McGregor stated that he will not use trash talk in the fight with Michael Chandler, which is something new. However, he may play with him in other ways. While everyone else was silent, Conor was pushing the boundaries of trash talk, and nowadays, when everyone's trying to look and talk like him, McGregor may be using other cards to play the mental game. Think about it. What are the chances that he trains like a maniac while showing the audience how he spends time in the clubs and shows no interest in fighting Michael? Maybe these things started to cloud the mind of Chandler, who's been waiting for almost 2 years and wakes up every day with new and confusing news regarding their fight. Hopefully, McGregor heals soon because waiting for his return started to get on everyone's nerves. It seems that Conor's waging a psychological war with the audience this time as well. We mustn't forget that the Irishman's an intelligent man who certainly knows what he's doing. An important note before we move on to the next method. Trash talk is a proven method that can bring the desired results, but only if you can back it up. If you're Colby Covington, for example, or your opponent is Nurmagomedov, you may instead eat your words and suffer from fatal side effects. Taunting, talking, and showboating in fights also have their charms. These are great ways to frustrate your opponent and make them forget their game plan and start making mistakes. And we all know how much small mistakes pay in this sport. Admit that you immediately thought of them because the Diaz brothers are a great example of this.
I remember when I fought Nick Diaz and he's talking to you. A lot of guys, they throw haymakers at him and they hit and he's like, I can't say on camera what he says, but you hit like a bee. Come on. And he's insulting you and man, you feel claustrophobic because like, I just put my hard jab and he's laughing at me. It's all a fake. It's all part of his strategy. Prepare for that. I know that even Ferraz, my coach, says, be ready to go 5 rounds. You're gonna throw some crazy good shot and he's not gonna blink. He's gonna make you believe that doesn't hurt him.
Thank you, George, because claustrophobia is a great word. Imagine fighting a man who's taunting you throughout the fight, and as the match goes on, he seems to have more and more energy. With the addition of swearing in your face and flipping you off, 5 rounds would be too much for you in front of the Diaz brothers, no matter how prepared you are. Their physical and mental approach to fighting is synchronized and dangerous for everyone. 4 things about Diaz brothers are certain to make opponents' minds crumble. 1. They won't get tired. 2. They won't be knocked out. 3. They will come at you as long as the fight lasts. 4. And they won't shut up. Consequently, Joe Rogan made a great comment on Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz changed the game in terms of his elite cardio. He did something that was a new thing, and that new thing was he's not going to hit you with 100% power. He's going to hit you with 50%, but he's going to hit you twice as much, and you're never going to get to breathe. And he's going to stay on top of you, and he's going to talk to you the whole time. So he's going to fuck with you psychologically. He's going to disrupt your breathing by constantly hitting you. And then once he realizes you're hurt, then he's digging to the body. Then he's putting it on you.
Anderson Silva had a similar approach during his middleweight dominance, except he wasn't rude like Diaz. He won't flip you off or curse at you, but he'll make you miss him with shots while taunting you to come right at him. And in case you decided to move forward, well, the spider was nowhere to be found.
Well,
he punched you in the chin.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
And I was very confused. And I tried to punch him. And he literally moved his head out of the way and looked at me like I was stupid for doing it. He looked at me like, why would you do such a stupid thing? He looked at me like, oh, did you really think you were going to hit me? What a stupid thing to think. Just slow white boy. And then he punched me. And I felt embarrassed for even trying to punch him.
The world of boxing also had its own Anderson Silva, and if you remember the fights of Prince Nassim Hamed, newsflash, you're getting old. The electric boxer used to dance, sing, and punch, and worst of all, he was hard to hit cleanly. His psychological warfare would make you so angry that you would want to take off your gloves and go home. Our next method is fighters pretending to be crazy. The most recent example comes from the boxing field, and if you say that Ryan Garcia didn't fool you, you're not being honest with yourself. People noticed something was wrong with him even before Gervonta's fight. No one even thought that it was the trick of the century in the making.
I'm going there and just fuck this man up. You don't understand. I'm gonna fuck him up. You don't know what I've been training like. You don't know the vision I have. You do. Now, no, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'll break this whole thing right now. That's how I'm fired. I'm strong. I'm strong. I'm strong. Strong.
Okay, maybe Ryan truly went a little crazy, but not nearly as much as we thought. He looked like he wasn't sober at any point. He stuttered while doing interviews, and there was suspicion of alcohol and drug abuse. Garcia said all kinds of crazy stuff, from acting weird in front of the camera to making Illuminati conspiracy theories. It was nuts.
Yeah, I want some of your mama. I want your mama now. Your mama probably in my DMs. NGQ, doing what I do. All white, looking nice. Okay, come through.
I don't know if Ryan Garcia is taking the fight serious or not.
There's no doubt that Devin Haney thought the match would be a walk in the park and probably softened up mentally and underestimated Garcia. Not only did he beat Devin with strategic trolling, but he bet on his own name with $2 million and won 12.
Come on, God, you really thought I was crazy?
As the famous Sun Tzu said, to fool the enemy, one must fool himself first. If you thought Dagestanis were dangerous, imagine one with blown fuses in his head. It is still unclear whether Khamzat Chimaev is really crazy or just faking it, but one thing is for sure, it works. His former teammates from the All-Star gym in Sweden say he's often bipolar and irrational. One day he comes in a good mood, and the next he wants to have a problem with everyone. Khamzat will fight anyone anywhere, that is a fact. If he stabilized his health, Khamzat would be even more formidable. You've seen how he behaves in front of the cameras and what he can do in the fight. We're talking about a crazy Chechen who's known for threatening other fighters.
I said that I'm the king here. I will stay a long time. I'm gonna come for everybody. I kill everybody. You believe me now? I told you I'm gonna kill him. That I did. He sleep, bro.
The only thing worse than a Khamzat in a cage is an armed Khamzat outside it. When he's not ragdolling people, he carries out his destructive will by shooting from all kinds of weapons. Now imagine that you're his opponent who knows all these things about him. You think you could withstand the psychological pressure and fear that Boris brings? How would you deal with a man who looks at you like prey with the eyes of a madman and rushes at you from the first minute? Chimaev also commands a dominant posture and demeanor that causes anxiety in opponents. Khamzat is the embodiment of fear and domination, which brings us to our final point. There are also guys from higher divisions with an unbreakable spirit, resilience under pressure, and calmness. And when they show up, they make sure that everyone notices it. Jon Jones is one of those people. His body language does his work. Bones tends to enter the private space of his opponents on the face-off. What sets him apart from other fighters is that Jones will stand inches away from you but look anywhere but your eyes.
He was scared. I knew he was scared because he didn't want to do the stare down. That's why you went to some pictures, I turned my back to him and stuff and joke around because he never want to look me in the eyes. I knew John.
In the moments when he decided to look the opponent in the eye, he would do it confidently and arrogantly from above. On the other hand, if you try to get in his face or push him, the fight is on. Whenever he engaged in trash talk, he would do it without much noise, spitting facts and establishing his dominance in a calm but convincing manner.
You said you could take me down at 100 times out of 100 times, right? And that's what you're gonna do, right? I challenge you to get me down 5 times in that 5-round fight. You won't be able to do that. Maybe you will get me down once. I believe in my whole heart that I'll get you down too. But the difference is, when I get you down, your face will open up. There is nothing you can do to stop me from coming at you round after round with the most malicious techniques I know. You will lose this fight, Daniel Cormier. I want you to believe it. Every ounce of training you put in leading up to this fight will be a waste of your life.
How can anyone not find his threats chilling? Jones also started fights by crawling towards his opponents, which he later discovered were his psychological warfare tools.
Yo, you get down sometime, when you look at the next guy that cuts you off in line or something, you just get down and you start to freaking give him this look and you start crawling up to him. It's intimidating.
When we consider that his famous oblique kick and eye pokes are both a mental and physical weapon, it's no wonder why John, with all his martial qualities, is still undefeated.
If you doing anything good on him, and he's gonna put his fingers in you, he's gonna poke you in the eye. And then if you advancing on you doing anything good, you get the advantage, you're gonna kick your knee backwards. For one, I think that knee kick, they call it like an oblique kick, whatever. He's kicking you right on your kneecap kick.
What if we told you there's a UFC persona that's even scarier than Jon Jones? Stoic warrior and champion of the light heavyweight division, Alex Pereira pushes the boundaries of fear with his domineering appearance, stone face, and lack of knowledge of the English language.
Did you see the size of the fella? Like, why is nobody mentioning that? Dude's just giant.
All Poatan has to do is show up, be quiet, and stare at you. 10 out of 10 fighters of all divisions find him terrifying, and that's a fact.
I mean, that man is something special. He really is. He's so stoic and doesn't talk, but my God, is he absolutely terrifying. That makes him even more scary. The fact that he doesn't talk, he never cracks a smile. Do you know what I mean? He's like something from a horror movie.
Imagine waiting for the opponent in the octagon, and then the whole Potaxo tribe appears at the entrance with imaginary bows and arrows, with Alex at the head of the column. He's looking at you and coming for you quietly but surely.
His walkout is just so stoic and strong, and like even that bow and arrow thing he does with the scream is just so cool, dude.
However, in the rare cases where this scene does not strike fear into the opponent's heart, Poaton's left hook will do its best to deliver the ultimate terror. To talk about a dominant appearance, fear, and the art of mental warfare and not mention Mike Tyson would be a mortal sin.
How did you feel about the guys you were in the ring with?
I wanted to kill them.
Well, I can tell. Why did, I'm laughing nervously.
Prime Iron Mike was like a mixture of Jones and Pereira. He didn't have to speak to be intimidating, but when he did, it would be extra scary. Because the words that came out of Tyson's mouth, you couldn't hear from anyone else. We're talking about a man who instilled enormous amounts of fear through mere conversation. Just when the opponent thinks that Mike can't be more terrifying, he remembers that he has to enter the ring with him, where a completely different nightmare reigns and at the highest level.
No, get off my hand. I ain't doing it, you scumbag. You.
How anybody in here can f with this man, bro. This is the ultimate, man. You hoe. Come to say my
His diabolical stare downs with the addition of brutal punching power would crush an entire army, let alone a single boxer. The thing about Tyson is that you didn't have to be his opponent. He was going after anyone. Promoters, opponents, journalists, men, women, and children. There's no person in the world who's not afraid of Mike, and there's no fighter in the world who's resistant to his psychological influence.
Can you be with me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person no more. And I miss him.